Hey viewers and viewers, my name is General Red Strategist, and welcome back to So You're Being Hunted. It's episode 312 now. Back on, of course, with Literature Hunt 2.0. I completely forgot, actually, just before I started recording, that my inventory is absolutely fucking rammed with revolver ammo. I'm an absolute hoarder. I don't know why I've picked up this much, ladies and gents, but you know me, you know what I'm like. So I'm back here on the centre island. We're going to kill a few scarecrows, I do reckon, ladies and gents, that's what we need to do, because they'll have books, things like that. We've been getting lots of letters so far, and whatever else have you. Now, I've got to remember, obviously, in that direction is where my house is located, where I'm storing all the books and letters that I get. But in the meantime, we're going to head off, find some scarecrows, get some books, get some reading material, and then we should be okay, right? Right? Yeah. So, I hope you guys out there are all doing well, and I hope that you're enjoying the series as usual, and I hope you're enjoying all these letters and things that I'm finding. I certainly am. It's been a, well, I should say actually, obviously I'll be dating the video a bit here, but it's a Wednesday afternoon, as of when I record this, Wednesday the 17th, it's the 17th, isn't it? Yeah, 17th of June, ladies and gents. Obviously by the time this video goes out, it'll be a few days after that, probably, at the very least. But I've been doing, usual, just having a recording session after completing the day's working tasks and all that. But, yeah, so I just thought I'd just do some So You're Being Hunted, and maybe some other games as well. Myself and Phil have a recording session planned. We'll be doing a bit of Sir, hopefully there, among other games. Should be good. Speaking of other games, as when I record this, first episode of my next Let's Play, Fez, has just gone, well, not just, but it's gone live on the channel, so that series has started off. So if you haven't watched that, definitely do so. I can already tell that's going to be a game that's right up my alley. It's very colourful, it's very pretty to look at, so I'm definitely going to do more of it, even if it doesn't get huge views. Hello, Mr. Scarecrow, do you like Fez as well? Take that. There we are. Okay, let's just use up a bit of ammo. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This will use up a little bit. 8, 9, 10. There we go. That's better, isn't it? And you have got books. Lovely. Let me just get my sheet of paper that has this all listed down on it, so I don't end up messing this up. Books. Robot on the Fool. That's a very different kind of book, that is. The Robot and the Fool, the Golden Arm Part 1 and the Golden Arm Part 2. Right, what's this one? Jack the Robot Killer Part 1. That is a completely new one. Let me just write that down. Jack the Robot Killer Part 1. You can probably hear my pencil scraping across my paper there. Jack took up a horn, shovel and pickaxe and went over to the mount in the beginning of a dark winter's evening when he fell to work. And before morning had dug a pit 22 feet deep and nearly as broad, covering it over with long sticks and straw. Then he strewed moss over it so that it appeared like playing ground. Jack then placed himself on the opposite side of the pit, far from the robot's cave, and just at the break of day he put the horn to his mouth and blew. This noise roused the machine, which rushed from his cave, crying, "You incorrigible villain, you come here to disturb my rest. You shall pay dearly for this." It had no sooner uttered this than it tumbled into the pit. "O robot," quoth Jack, "where are you now?" He tantalised the robot for a while, then with his pickaxe slew it. Okay. That's an interesting little story, that. It's interesting that, of course, it's a robot that he's dealing with, which just makes one wonder. Is Jack the Robot Killer... the story's based maybe on some kind of human figure during the guerrilla war against the robots that supposedly happened in this world. Because I'm pretty sure that's been mentioned in letters we've seen at other times in the series. Other times when I've been playing So You're Being Hunted. Because that's the thing. Again, just to reiterate what I remember of the story. The idea is, I think you had a couple of guys in this world, Barmstick and Dr. whatever he was called, Hodgman, was it? I think it was, who were experimenting with the standing stones, the rift effect, or whatever it's called, the overlap. I can't remember what the effect was called now. I'll have to review my letters and review my notes and all that. And then possibly they unleash something into this world, something being the robots. So the robots come, I think, from a complete... Oh, fuck, shouldn't have done that. So the robots potentially come from a completely different world, as far as I'm aware. Right. Take that. Oh, come on now, really? Also, I forget how the bullet marks just sort of hover in midair instead of actually on his body. Yeah, we got another book. That's good. Which one's this? That is the Golden Arm Part 1, which we already have. We do not need that one. That's still Jack Part 1. Lovely. Very good stuff. Maybe I could... I was just thinking, can I do a bit of inventory management here, but just get that pumpkin, but I don't know if that's going to work really, is it? Because we've got that ham. The Christmas ham right over here, which we don't really need. Unless I shift things around like that. No, that's not going to work at all. What am I doing? Right, never mind. Well, we're not having that. We're not having some pumpkin. We've already had some. Let's not get greedy. So whilst we're searching for more scarecrows and all that, ladies and gentlemen, I think we can have a topic of conversation to talk about. This is an interesting one, I say, because you know me, of course. I'm getting more and more into my anime and all that. I've quite a few animes that I've watched now under my belt, but of course a lot of animes are based on mangas, on light novels, stuff like that. And there is a manga writer who I'm aware of, I've heard of, and I've seen little sort of basically scans of his kind of work on various websites. For example, if you go on Google Images and search this guy's name, you'll find stuff. And that guy's name is Junji Ito, ladies and gentlemen. He's basically a horror manga author, and if you haven't ever checked this guy's work out, just go on Google Images, like I say, search his name or search Junji Ito manga, and you will get some very interesting images that do come up there. Let's just say he's quite famous among the sort of horror manga circuit, if you can call it that. And he's an author who I've been thinking increasingly I'd like to read some of his work, just because it looks kind of fascinating. Because I haven't really watched. I haven't really read a great many mangas before in my life. I'm very much the anime sort of person, myself. But it's something which I think I'd definitely be very interested in taking a look into. Because apparently he has some really renowned stories. So there's ones, for example, I think there's a story he wrote which is about some kind of supernatural event involving spirals. And you see there's various images I've seen of that with like people where their faces have like morphed into these weird sort of spiral shapes. It's very peculiar looking, very surreal. And I suppose that's what kind of makes it look very interesting. But there's another one I've seen images from, which apparently is one where there's like these fish monster creatures. They look like fish, but they have like these very spidery legs. But it's like a story where there's like a swarm of monsters like that that are killing people. There's another one I've heard of where it's apparently there's like a mountain, and suddenly there's like these human-shaped holes that start appearing in it, and people in the local towns are all become really obsessed with it, to the point where they feel like they have to visit the site, and strange things start happening. So yeah, it really does sound like there's some very peculiar but quite fascinating storylines in certain Junji Ito mangas. Hence why I definitely want to try and maybe see if I can get my hands on some of them. I should probably see if I can order them from Amazon, because they probably would be available. Who knows, maybe I could get some COVID lockdown offers on them, I don't know. But yeah, Junji Ito, ladies and gents, that's definitely something I want to pick up and read. I've heard that there are some anime adaptations of Junji Ito's works, but apparently, I don't know, there seem to be mixed reviews of them. Some people say elements of the anime adaptations are good, but others not so good. Which I suppose is probably true of a lot of manga and light novel adaptations. The anime, of course, can't quite do the original source material that much justice. I mean, certainly, it's understandable. Obviously with anime, and in fact actually with any TV adaptation, I think, of a literary work of some kind, if you're, having to compress a massive story down into maybe, say, 12 episodes each of 20 to 30 minutes length, then that's, inevitably going to result in certain elements of the original story being lost, or having to be sacrificed, or whatever. Hey, I got another book. See, they always seem to have books on them. Our Tremendous Stench, that's a new one. What is this? Okay, let me put that down here. Also, I don't know if I've ever encountered this one before. It doesn't sound familiar. Oh god, gas coming up my throat from my tea. Yeah. Right, our tremendous stench. Once the cause of the stench had been confirmed by the men from London, people began to arrive from all over the nearby counties. What a tremendous stench, they would comment to locals. Then we would smile and agree, and proudly tell the tale of how the all-pervading stink had come to be. Even the local alehouse, the Red Lion, was to take a new name in honour of the great smell, and it was truly the most important odour ever to have made its home in our part of the world. These golden times were in retreat, however, when a foreigner arrived from the east. Despite being dressed with gold and tailored clothes, the foreigner was evil, and he quickly found his way to the heart of our stench, and, so it's told, he took it for his people. Strange. Okay, maybe I have seen that one before, now that I think about it, I'm not entirely sure. But, I don't know, either way, it doesn't seem terribly familiar. So maybe we've seen that one before? I don't know. Not entirely certain. There's a cottage here. Wasn't the priory somewhere near here? Near here? Could have sworn it was. I just need to get my bearings, that's all, in terms of where I am in the landscape. Yes. Okay, right, hold on. If I turn around and go over here, maybe I can just find my way back towards where my house was. Was it not over there somewhere? I think it probably was, wasn't it? It was the priory. Completely lost track of where it was. There's another scarecrow over here, though. Maybe if I scoff this pumpkin down and then take this guy out as well. Just uses up some of my revolver ammo, that's all. Get out of it. Yeah. Do you have anything to say about the tremendous stench, old boy? Do you read Junji Ito? Oh, there we are. I always forget, with the revolver, if you just hold down the fire button, he just fires one after the other very quickly. Yes. Okay, what's this one? Mother Paul's Sack Pudding. I don't know if I've seen this one either. Let's make a note of that. Mother Paul's Sack Pudding. There we go. Ingredients for sack pudding. 5 connotations raw. Okay, maybe we have seen this one actually. A pickled suggestion with the implication removed. A chopped analogy. Some syllogism without the rind. Instructions for cooking. Place all the ingredients even in a metaphor and begin to shake uncontrollably. Once entirely frothing at the mouth, lay on the ground and moan until nearby onlookers are forced to act. Oh dearie me. I wonder. Is this some sort of metaphor for insanity? Something like that. Feels like it, doesn't it? Feels weird, man. There we go. Alright, let's move on. Let's dump our books over in the village, over yonder. And then we'll continue on. Shoot up some more scarecrows, terrorise a few more locals. Ah, yes. I'm really tempted now to just go on Amazon and search for Junji Ito works and see if I can find... See what sort of prices they're going for. Because why the hell not, eh? This was not the village in question. We have gone somewhere else. No wonder I couldn't see the priory anywhere. It's because we're on a different part of the flipping island, that's why. Getting completely lost. Good lord. Alright, well, let's just keep moving in the meantime then, shall we? If we see any more scarecrows en route, we can always just take them out, get some more books. Here's the thing, I don't actually know how many books there are in total in this game. Because I know there's obviously 25 letters in total. 0 to 24, that is. But books, I'm not entirely sure. I'd have to check this, so you're being hunted wiki, probably. Without spoiling anything. Come on. Gotcha. There you go. Right, so if you just give me this book over here. What happened to Archie? That's a new one as well. We're getting a load of new ones. What happened... Hold on, scribble it down. What happened to Archie? There we go. Having moved to the cottage by the lake, I found myself reading a great deal. The only company there was my spaniel Archie, and so, having tomes of Swift and Coleridge, kept the loneliness at bay. It was on the third night that I began to feel a sense of unease, as if something in the air, or perhaps the water of the lake, had changed. Archie sensed it too, and began to spend more time on patrol around the limits of the cottage grounds. Each evening I would leave the door ajar for him, and return to the armchair and my books. Tonight, however, something happened. I heard the door move and pause on the carpet. Not looking up from my pages, I reached down to fuss Archie's scalp, only to be met with wet and cold. I started up, and confronted not a dog looking up at me, but a metal man on all fours. His head rotated round to greet me. Ugh, a bit creepy. You know what that reminds me of? Who's heard that little sort of horror story that teenagers, well, stereotypically this is, but teenagers tell to each other on sleepovers when they do their, let's tell each other scary stories sort of thing. Get the torch and shine it in your face and all that. It's like a scary story of a character, usually a girl, who has a dog, and one night she's alone in her house. She hears on the radio that there's maybe like an escaped murderer or escaped psycho or something on the prowl. So she locks all the doors and windows, and then she goes to bed. And of course the dog takes up a position underneath the bed. So every so often she just reaches her hand down, and the dog kind of licks her hand, things like that. And then after a while she falls asleep. But then during the night at some point she wakes up and she can hear this dripping sound coming from somewhere in the house. And so when she, at first she's kind of too scared to go and find out what it is, and she just reasons that maybe just one of the faucets in maybe the kitchen or the bathroom somewhere is perhaps just dripping a bit. But she's too scared, like I say, to actually go and investigate. So instead she just puts her hand down to the bottom of the bed and feels the reassuring sensation of her dog licking her finger, and she draws comfort from that. Later on she manages to get back to sleep, and then she wakes up in the morning, puts her hand down, feels the dog lick, but she doesn't look, and instead she then goes to the bathroom, and as she does she hears that dripping sound getting louder and louder, and she realises that this dripping sound, it's definitely coming from the bathroom. And of course when she goes in, horror awaits, because it's like she pulls back the shower curtain or something and then discovers basically the dead body of her dog strung up, and she also then sees a message daubed in the dog's blood, either on the mirror or on the wall or something, and it basically says, "Humans can lick too." Yeah, that's like one of those creepy sort of urban legend type stories that you'd expect teenagers to tell each other on sleepovers, things like that. Yes, there's probably a whole host of them. This seems to be the horror-themed episode of So You're Being Hunted, this. We were talking about Junji Ito, then we got a slightly creepy story, what happened to Archie, and now we're talking about a loosely related story. Yeah, I'm sure, lots of countries around the world will probably have variations on that story, or that kind of story, or urban legend, whatever you want to call it. There's all kinds of ones a lot like that, yeah. If you just search for them, you'll find them online, things like that. Yes. Like the one about the woman it always seems to be a woman, doesn't it? The subject of a lot of these stories. So, like the woman who's driving out at night, and suddenly there's like a truck that comes up behind in the rearview mirror, and it starts like tailgating her, flashing its high beams, things like that. And at first she's kind of worried, and she's like, "Oh my God, what's going on here? Why is this truck driver doing this? Does he want something with me?" And then later on she pulls into a gas station, and the truck pulls in as well, and then the truck driver gets out, and just when she thinks he's the bad guy, the truck driver, and that he's there to harm her, he actually tells her, "No, I'm not here to harm you. I was trying to warn you. There's a person on your back seat. There's a psycho in the back seat of your car. And because I was driving behind you, every time he kept getting up out the back seat to try and attack you from behind, I saw him, so I would lay on the horn, I would tailgate, I would flash my headlights to try and distract him and scare him back into his hiding place." Yeah, that's another one, I think. Okay, right, I've just been rabbiting on for a while there. I think actually we've been recording for a good amount of time, so we might as well actually start wrapping up this here episode of So You're Being Hunted. So, this is episode 312, everybody. Hope you all enjoyed that one right there. Hope you'll join me for episode 313. That might be with Phil, depending on when the next recording session falls. Should be a good one, Ben. We'll continue, obviously, with the literature hunt. We got a few books there, which was good. So it's good, actually, just to, hang around the centre island, just kill a few scarecrows, get some more reading material. Again, I'll have to check on the wiki how many books there actually are in total without spoiling any of the titles, but at least we've found some more there. So if you're not doing so already, you can find me on Facebook and Twitter, links down below as usual, along with a link to my propagandist channel for those interested. If you enjoyed, you must leave a like, you must comment, you must subscribe, and you must share my video with your friends on social media. This is not a choice, ladies and gentlemen. You have to do it, or I'm going to buy up all the toilet rolls and sell them for an extortionate price on eBay. Goodbye, everybody. Jesus, there's a lot of rocket hand and gaffing dudes who were taken out here. Oh boy, we get to go onto the friggin' riverboat. This is what I've been looking forward to. I said, oh god, that's a bit glitchy. Who's inside? Oh wow. So you see, they've even got... You see, one thing I was worried about, you know, with this mod was that I'd look at these kind of big paddle wheels here, and they'd just be sort of weird models that glitch into the side of the ship. But no, Mapmaker has actually taken the time to make sure they actually look realistic. That's not bad. But you see these... Okay, sorry. I'm just looking at the paddle wheels for now, because I'm admiring the design of this level, but this obviously is one of those kind of steamboats that has its paddle wheels on the sides,